yet another campaign promise was dropped. The first one was, I'm going to make inflation go away on day one. And then a few weeks ago, it was like, not really. And then today, on the heels of, we're going to tariff everything. Like, well, maybe a few things. And so the market got all excited about that. I am highly confident that every single campaign promise will disappear except for the really simple ones, the really easy ones to implement. So you just got to hold tight against this political nonsense and just keep your eye on the charts. Support, resistance, trend lines, Fibonacci's, patterns. The market is bigger than any person. The market's bigger than Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Donald Trump or any of those guys. The market will always, eventually prevail. It's even bigger than Jerome Powell. Sooner or later, the truth will prevail. So just keep faith. Having said all that, let's look at some charts together, see what's cooking in this completely bizarre market of ours. We begin with a spider. Got a nice little shooting star pattern there. Got a series of lower highs cooking. Like I said, feeling good. Feeling awfully good about this market in spite of this preposterous bounce earlier today. Presently, we're up only 24 on the ES, which, is like a third of what it was earlier today. Bitcoin is feeding the flames of madness. It is up in the six figures again, over $102,000, almost at a share, but per coin. It's pretty evident that inflation's heating up. Bonds continue to collapse. And inflation will just start raging again this year. And that'll be interesting. Don't count on any more rate cuts from JP. With Bitcoin raging like this, MicroStrategy's having a good day. They're up over $37. I do not go near this thing. It's just interesting to watch from a safe distance. I imagine eventually it will have its comeuppance. And we'll talk about that on a daily basis if it ever does transpire. But I don't go near this stuff. It's just a cool phenomenon for a future book. Semiconductors, I got out of ARM early on Friday, thank goodness, because this thing just keeps blasting higher. The reversal pattern isn't necessarily ruined. If this thing doesn't get above, if prices don't get above this high, then the prospect of keeping those lower highs intact is still there. I'm not monkeying around with ARM anymore, but all hope is not lost on this to eventually reverse. But yeah, semiconductors I'm getting more and more skeptical of because just the mania is just so strong. I remain, though, with AMD and NXPI. I still have puts on those. ARM, no thank you. NVIDIA, no thanks. SMH, no, not really. But I'll stick with those other items. Like, as we look at SMH here, this is being powered by NVIDIA strength. But I want to emphasize this trend line is still resistance. We have not even gotten close to it. So we shall see. You can see here, though, that this, what had been a nice round of top, is completely put to bed. I'll leave this here for now, but ain't much happening there. Although I will note this is another shooting star. Should we have a market tomorrow in which the prices are below today's low, we will have a really cool island reversal pattern on our hands. But I ain't counting on it. We'll see. Just to offer the prospect that might just take place, though, check out the cubes. This is a beautiful thing. Let's take note. This is important. Here's the trend line that is anchored to the CrowdStrike collapse, the low of August 5th. And we punched through it here on the 18th of December, clambered above it again, fell yet again. And so this was on the first trading day of the year, last Thursday. Friday, of course, we rallied big. Today we rallied big. Look where the high is. Is that beautiful? I mean, the tears are welling up in my eyes, how pretty that is. So that the high for the day exactly touching the trend line. Fantastic. XLK, which is a different flavor of tech, this very specific tech, same deal. There's the CrowdStrike low, and there's the shooting star, and the high, which is very near, on an intraday basis, near the lifetime high, just below the broken trend line. So huzzah. With all this tariff backpedaling, you remember back in 2016 to 2020, this is China. China trade talks are going well. We heard that 8,000 or 9,000 times. The China trade thing was just this ping pong being batted back and forth, which kept the markets zipping up and down. We're back to where we were. I mean, it's the same shtick. So Mexico is rallying today because, maybe we won't get tariffed. Keep an eye on the pattern, the big pattern, the context. Not the tick by tick, but the month by month. That is still absolutely intact. So there's that. Quantum computing, I've been mixed up with computers since 1979. And I live in the middle of the Silicon Valley. I'm surrounded by these lunatics. But I knew precious little about quantum computing, but there's been so much talk about it that I decided to educate myself a bit. So I've probably gone from like the 10th percentile in understanding it to maybe, this is going to sound braggadocious, but it's not, because I don't think many people understand this, probably from 10th to 95th percentile. And I'm still really dumb. I'm still ignorant about it. But I think so few people really understand it deeply that 95th percentile is still not great. But I've been studying a lot about this, and it's fascinating. And I think I kind of get it. But I also think that the people plunging into these stocks are probably a lot closer to the 10% and are just jumping into a fad. It is completely indeterminate whether that industry is going to succeed or not. From what I can divine, it is either going to change the world utterly or be a complete financial wipeout. That the industry just won't materialize. Because you go through these tech phase. I remember like in the 80s, gallium arsenide, that was the big things. So anyway, remains to be seen. But the mania is still going strong with anything quantum related. The volume's up super high. Stocks are up hundreds or even thousands of percent. There's INQ, of course, Rigetti, once again, up 6%, which for most stocks would be fantastic. For this stock, it's like, it's almost like flat, but it is a lifetime high. And the volume, as I say, has been just, we've gone from literally like 1 or 2 million shares a day to hundreds of millions of shares. But quantum computing, it's a little tough to get into and really get your head wrapped around. It's very non-intuitive, but it's a really interesting new field. Aflac, tip of the hat to the late Gilbert Gottfried on this. We've got a topping pattern on AFL, so that's kind of interesting. Stumble across that. Also, Axon finally falling hard. We've talked about this many times. These are formerly known as Taser, and they make body cams and the Taser. What do they call it? Not lethal free weapons, but like they're guns that don't kill people. But they had a huge surge after the election because they figured that, everyone would need guns to like shoot people and imprison them and such. And so that had a big rush higher, lifetime highs right up here. They peaked on December 6th at almost $700. We are at $569 now. I was really thinking of doing something about this on Friday, but the options aren't great at all. So I didn't. But as I've mentioned, every time we talk about Axon, it's way, way, way up high at the tippity top with this very long-term channel. So this is behaving itself very nicely. And I'm highly confident it'll seal this gap up. I think it's got plenty more to go. Cracker Barrel has been very strong in recent weeks, but this scallop down here. I think this is just going to continue. We've had these counter trend rallies again and again and again, and they typically simply constitute the left side of the next top, the next reversal. So that's CBRL there. My only early today, when everything just stunk out loud, the only glimmer of goodness for me was miners. And those are doing nicely. So my GDX puts, GDX is down 1.1%. That reversal top is nicely intact. We got terrifyingly close to trend line violation on Thursday, did not get past it, and chipped some of that away on Friday and chipped almost all of it away as of now. So yay. But yeah, that was my one drop of water in the desert this morning. And I think silver will help bring this down too, because SLV pushed up against that head and shoulders, and it's seeming to reverse too. In terms of oil, oil was strong earlier today, much to my annoyance, but that is reversed. And USO is down over 0.7%. I don't trade oil directly, but I'm really interested in what the oil producers are doing because I've got puts in BP and COP, and now, as of today, XOP, which I got at good prices because we were so strong at XOP earlier. So yeah, I've got 3 bearish oil producer positions. We got a nice bearish engulfing pattern. Earlier today was the 10th day in a row that we had a green bar on XOP. It ain't gonna be green now. So we've had 9, and we are getting that bearish engulfing pattern. COP, just want to mention, also down 1.1%. Very pretty pattern. And as I said, I've got BP as well. What should we do? Why don't we just put on our sneakers and jump to the very bottom of the list? I'll just mention Tesla. At the very end, I have gone ahead and moved the anchor points of these Fibonacci's to the lifetime high, which was just days ago. Tesla started off strong today. It's been selling off. We're down a little bit right now, but these fibs, these relocated fibs, are still magically delicious with respect to illustrating where support and resistance are. And so we're currently banging around inside this range. And should we violate this, the next major support is around about here, which is around 300 or so. So yeah, when you look at the fibs, I have dragged it higher to take into account those new highs.